This is Starting Point, a podcast that tracks Guyana's unprecedented growth from all vantage points. Join your hosts, Kiana Wilberg and Fariza Hanif, as they dive deep into the heart of topical issues.
Welcome to Starting Point. I am your host, Kiana Wilberg, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ms. Fariza Hanif. Starting Point is a groundbreaking platform that brings you fresh and insightful perspectives regarding Guyana's unprecedented growth from all vantage points. What makes this platform especially unique is that we will also bring you exclusive insights on Guyana's social development as well as the political landscape. For our inaugural episode, we are truly pleased to have as our first guest PNCR-appointed Region 4 Chairman and former GDF Captain, Mr. Daniel Seeram. Daniel, welcome to our first episode. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Kiana.
So, Daniel, many persons would have been watching your political journey since you entered the arena in January 2020. But outside of the political persona, many persons don't know Daniel Seeram, the man, the person. Tell us who he is.
Well, first of all, when you said the arena, it makes me think that I'm a gladiator now. However, Daniel Seeram is just like any other Guyanese. I was born in West Rhinebelt, and I was raised in Alexander Village. I went to a public play group, a public nursery school, a public primary school, and then a public secondary school. Just with the love of my parents, support of my family. And then I wanted to do a career in medicine at first. And then I was coerced by my dad and some other family members to join the Guyana Defence Force, which I have not regret ever. Right? I spent 12 plus years within the service to the Guyana Defence Force and the people of Guyana. And then I transitioned to the private sector briefly, and then into politics. In a nutshell, I am just a humble servant of the people of Guyana, and I'm here just like every right-minded Guyanese, trying to be a part of the development, trying to bring relief to those who need it, and trying to provide assistance to those who need that assistance right now as well.
But Daniel, an important part of your background too is the time that you would have spent in the Guyana Defence Force, as I noted in my introduction. Kindly tell us about that experience. What was that like for you? The public doesn't often get that kind of insight.
The Guyana Defence Force is quite a rewarding career. If you're looking for a career in which you can be of service to your country, in which you can study as well, in which you can travel the length and breadth of Guyana. Kiana, I can tell you that I have lived, worked, and served in every single administrative region in Guyana, right? And it has been quite worth the journey. I've made a lot of friends. I've made a lot of brothers and sisters along the way. I've served in capacities of both training of entry-level recruits. I've worked extensively in the intelligence department and the infantry as well. And then I transitioned as my last post as an engineer in the Guyana Defence Force.
So how many years were we looking at there?
Well, if you were to actually half it, 6 years in everything else and then 6 years as an engineer, right? And it definitely was quite a journey. Apart from doing the regular duties as a military officer in terms of providing support to the borders, providing support to the civil powers. The other aspect of it is that I got to build roads, bridges. We dug water wells in South Rupununi. We made all of the infrastructures within the Guyana Defence Force more livable towards the soldiers. We fortified those that need fortification in terms of storage for arms and ammunition. Countless things that I would have particularly done. We built airstrips along with the civilian contractors And it definitely allowed me to see exactly what is Guyana, have an appreciation for what we have in Guyana, not only just in Region 4, in which most of us only see, but in all aspects of it. The diversity of our people is just a love when you start to travel. If you did not know, each of us, we have a Guyanese accent. It varies from region to county to community. And being a young man born and raised in South Georgetown, basically, right, we have a harsher tone as opposed to if you go to a rural area. So that was quite, sometimes it takes me back when you go into the area having to listen to everyone else. But it gives you an appreciation to the rich culture, the rich diversity we have here in Guyana. And I was only afforded this opportunity through the Guyana Defence Force, in which I forever show love to, in which I will engage any youth coming up to be a part of, and which I will always give support to.
Yeah, so 12 years is a pretty good time to spend in the GDF. You've done so much, and there's so much more that I'm sure you could have done if you were still there. So tell me, why did you choose to enter politics, or when did you realize that you wanted to enter politics?
I knew I wanted to enter politics since 5 years old. If you're in disbelief, it takes me back to when I was a kid, and I got to understand why, how things happen within a country, and I wanted to be a part of that decision making. I wanted to be a part of that leadership, and to ensure that the people around me are well taken care of, and that all the basic amenities, the necessities were there for them. And transitioning from the military, I went back into private life, into the private sector, in which I decided to practice more as an engineer, right? And then I had the opportunity to go into politics. And after some rigorous discussions with my family and close friends, I decided to give it a chance. And I would have believed at that time it was very opportune for a young man to become involved in the development and some part of the decision makings within his country.
And this would have been sometime around 2020, correct?
Yes. Right. Well, I ended my military career in 2019, and then in January of 2020, I would have started my political life.
Of all the parties that existed at that time, why the PNC?
The PNC was the party who approached me, right, at the time. No other political party had ever approached me before, right? They outlined their values and standards. They outlined their manifesto leading up to the elections, and I was quite happy with what I saw. I was quite happy with the persons at the time that I engaged with, and I was certain that with that team, right, we could have moved Guyana forward.
And you would have spent some years there with the PNC. What were you able to do during that period to add to Guyana's development? What was your experience like?
Well, firstly, I'm grateful to the PNC for allowing me the opportunity to govern the largest region in terms of population, in terms of economic activities, and basically the heart and soul of Guyana. I know many of the other regional chairs will disagree with me there, but we always have this argument between us as which region is the best. Right? But I just allow them to argue because we know it's Region 4. Right? However, being given the privilege to hold the reins at Region 4 hasn't been all, how would you say, a sweetness every day. It's been quite a challenge. In Guyanese politics, it's quite contentious, as we all know. And this is way before 2020 ever began. Governing a region as an opposition appointee, and the government of the day is not your political party, comes with a lot of challenges. Being able to maneuver those challenges, however, was quite interesting over the years. You realize that as an individual, you had to put aside party politics and focus mainly on the assistance of the citizen. And if we're focusing mainly on the assistance of the citizen, can it be Daniel, Kiana, and Fariza? It has to be separating yourself, separating all other activities, and getting the goal done. I must say many of the successes we've had in the region has not been because of an individual, It has not been because of a Daniel Seeram or a Guyana or Fariza Hanif. It has been because of great partnership between the regions, between central government, between the local authorities, between private sector and many other stakeholders. Right? We have championed many areas, and I know that we have a limited time here on your program this morning. However, in Region 4, right, we have basically upgraded all medical facilities, all of our health centers, all of our health posts. They have doctors now, right, and we have them readily supplied, right. We do have some hiccups in terms of when they are resupplied, but that's an ongoing issue in which we are training staff to ensure that they send the returns in a timely manner. In Region 4 right now, as we speak, Sunday, we're going to, His Excellency is going to commission our new regional hospital in Diamond. And hopefully we'll have another regional hospital before the end of the year in Moore. We have upgraded the Diamond from the Diamond Diagnostic Center to the Diamond Smart Hospital, right? Which allows us as a region to do both primary, secondary treatment in terms of medical care and some amount of tertiary treatment, rather than having to have us send the citizens directly to the public hospital, which you know is overwhelmed sometimes. In the areas of education, now taking over right in COVID, the first 2 years were very difficult, getting the necessary supplies out to the kids who are at home, the online schooling, and so it was something that we never dealt with. No generation has ever dealt with it. This was amalgamating solutions with technology, right? And we definitely streamlined that, and I'm thankful for our partners, both the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, entire government, and the regions for rolling out these processes. If you didn't know, on the 5th of September 2022, when we started in-person schooling again, we had more kids in school than we had actually assessed, right? And that had put up a flag to us that we had to expand schools, we had to build more schools, and we have to get more resources and supplies out, right? Now that doesn't come without its own challenges as well, because we have to have properly trained staff as well, we have properly trained teachers at all levels of teaching. The educational delivery has to evolve, and that's still an ongoing process, right? Within the areas of drainage and irrigation, which I hold very dearly to me as an engineer, I also sit as a national director for NDIA representing Region 4. And I can tell you that that organization and all other organizations which have been overlooking and monitoring drainage and irrigation, we have been doing a fantastic job in terms of being proactive instead of reactionary to the woes of drainage and irrigation. I know some citizens may be looking in dismay and saying, but yet we're still flooding, and so I'm telling you that if we were not doing the work that we're doing now, it would have been worse. The thing is that we're combating, right, heavy rainfall coupled with high tides. And once you have that in the equation, right, there's little that we can do right now, right, that we haven't already done to mitigate flooding. However, this doesn't bring an end to that sentence, because we are constantly working with the specialists in those areas to ensure that we can restructure certain areas. However, we have improved all of the drainage and irrigation infrastructures. These are the sluices, the cocos, as you would like to say, and the pumps as well. So serviceability of these items, of these equipment within the region, they have been optimal throughout my tenure there, and throughout Guyana, because we get to see the reports from all of the regions as well. So I think that that's a plus. And Region 4 isn't known much for its agricultural output, but in the regions that have the agricultural output, because of the steps of NDIA, right, they have been getting larger yields in terms of agriculture there. Right? In terms of, and I'm going to close here with public works, right? Because we can go outside right now and you can see the changes, right? We see the new highways being built. We see them being built to international standards. For them who need corrective measures, they are getting those corrective measures. And this is what happens in the fastest growing economy. But however, we must be true to ourselves, in the fastest growing economy, with all of these things going on, there will be some amount of discomfort. And I will admit that sometimes there is an oversight in which we don't put out advisories in a timely manner, and in which some of our stakeholders work in somewhat isolation until they get a nudge. We at the region, we've been reaching out to all stakeholders, the ministries, utility operators, and so on, trying to have them to work together in order for us to not have these lapses. For example, the commute that it takes from the East Coast coming into Georgetown, from the East Bank coming into Georgetown, vice versa. It has been a challenge, right? I know the Guyana Police Force has been doing a fantastic job in terms of trying to manage that traffic in the morning, but yet, because of some amount of human error, we are having some difficulties there. So I do ask the citizens to bear with us while these developments, these macro developments within the region are happening, and you will be the ones to bear the fruit of them. You will be the ones who will ultimately drive on the nice roads. You will be the ones being able to call your family and say, I just made it to work in less than 10 minutes from out of Georgetown to in Georgetown. And I can assure you that that is the trajectory that we're looking at. Last week, Ministry of Works literally rolled out a program in which they're going to be improving all of the infrastructures within Georgetown. That means every road, every bridge, right, and all of the drainage as well, right? So these are the look forward that we have there. On the East Bank and the East Coast, those works have already commenced, and will continue, and we look for everyone to be on board.
Well, Daniel, you've spoken extensively there on a number of things that you were able to see accomplished before your very eyes. And earlier you spoke about the fact that, when the PNC approached you, you were persuaded, you were convinced that at that time there was real change that could take place. So explain for us between that time and the unprecedented move that you've made to some, which is crossing over. What changed? What moved you to make that decision to part company with the group you thought you were going to make a difference with?
I think that in this day and age, right, as a citizen of Guyana, I still have the right to choose. Mm-hmm. I've been sitting in my seat now for close to 5 years, in excess of 4 years, about 4 years, 8 months, 4 years, 9 months, right? And what I have seen, right, has been quite fantastic in terms of development. Right? What I've witnessed when like-minded individuals come together to make that push is definitely there, right? The PNC in which I joined in January 2020 is not this same PNC that we see right now, right? We see something completely different, completely void of most of the standards and morals that I would have, aligned with. And it has become totally unattractive in a way that it kind of repels youth, it kind of repels progressive thinking, and many of the young, bright people within the party have been sidelined. And for those of them who are still fighting the good fight, as we would say, right, do not get the recognition that they are due, right? And that is quite a sad situation going on within the party. And definitely it falls directly on the leadership of the party at this time. And in my assessment, in my review, I have come to the conclusion that my standards, my values, my morals don't align with what is going on with there anymore. And instead of staying, right, because we have made several advances over the years, myself and other members, right, to have some inclusion, but that's not happening anytime soon.
Was there a particular straw that broke the proverbial camel's back for you? Was there a situation that made you come to the point of saying, okay, this is it, I have to cut ties?
Of course, leading up to making such a decision, right, it's very conflicting, especially for an individual who just wants to do the right thing. And for me, right, and it's very hard to utter here, but the late Amna Ally would have passed away recently, and she would have served the mighty PNC for the past 50 years. And in service to that party, she would have served at many levels, given her entire life to it, made tremendous sacrifices for it. And when you saw how she was treated, even in death, it makes, by the current leadership of the party, it makes one wonder, right, what is really going on, that's one, and two, what is there really to stay for or work towards. And I believe that was the straw that broke the camel's back for me.
What I'm interested in, what was your relationship like with the leadership of the PNC, specifically Mr. Norton?
The leadership of the PNC and I have always held a cordial relationship, right? However, over the time that the new leadership has been in place, we really and truly never gotten any direction as to where to go in terms of regional development, right? At the regions, I could speak specifically for Region 4, we never got, well, this is where we want to see you go. And so I was just governing based on the manifestos that were put out, the guidance given to me by Mr. Granger, Mr. Harmon, and Ms. Ali. And therefore, we were left alone, right? So the partners that we had within the region became more of assets to us in terms of governance, in terms of direction, in terms of what we wanted to see happening, right? There was nothing coming out of the party in terms of where they wanted to see Region 4 go, what they wanted to see done in Region 4. That was not so. That was completely lacking.
And I think you mentioned earlier a group of you tried to fix this and bridge this gap for the leadership.
Many persons, not just a group, many strong members of the PNC over the past couple of years, right, would have tried their utmost best to, say that this is the direction we should go in, this is where we should put our energies, this is where we should put our focus. But however, it fell on deaf ears at all times, right? And it's quite a sad situation to see a mighty party as the PNC being put in this current position. I say this with a very heavy heart, and I say this because I know that many of the persons who will view this podcast, right, will have similar sentiments, right? A lot of people may come out in public and may hold their heads up high, but deep down inside they know what is going on. I mean, outsiders of the party could tell me what's going on more than I would have known after a period of time of being sidelined myself, right? But everything, as they say, the universe works in mysterious ways, right? I was led to this point in which I made a decision that I'm very comfortable with at this time, and that I have, all confidence in President Ali and his government in taking office for a second term and continuing with the progress that we currently have and amplifying that progress.
Well, it's good that you, if I may, Kiana, that you brought that up. There are many other political parties out there that you could have joined and be part of. Why the PPP? What drew you to the PPP?
Well, you see, as I've said, since I've taken office, all of the successes, and this is the thing, as a politician, our success isn't a singular success. It's not individual, right? It has been based on the relationship that I've had with the government of the day, right? And because I could have seen a vision, because I could have seen exactly where we're going, where this development is taking us, what we need to do in each sector, right? The decision was quite easy, right? Everybody else, basically, we did not have an opposition, right? And no other party was bringing forward any vision, right, or any plan to go forward, right? We keep getting sound bites on, if the current government said they're doing this, then you get a sound bite about it somewhere else, right? But nothing, there wasn't any creativity. There wasn't any guiding principle to lead to anything to bring the citizens relief, assistance, or any development. And that's why my decision was quite easy.
Daniel, we want to close with two very important questions. Now, the WPA, which has joined forces with the APNU, its chief spokesperson, Dr. David Hines, has come forward to launch a series of attacks on some of those individuals who would have crossed over, yourself included, and he even referred to you as just being ethnic window dressing. How do you feel about those sort of toxic statements and those types of attacks against individuals, especially with that party?
He also called you an ingrate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Funnily, I didn't see it, right? And the next morning I got many messages, the screen grabs or the link to see it. And all I will say about that is that the behavior speaks for itself. And I will ask all Guyanese is, the WPA, led by Dr. Hines, right, has just coalesced with the APNU. And are those the people that you want to be seeing sitting in any position of authority, leading this country or representing us on an international or national level? And I'll leave that to the public to decide. And those will be my comments on it.
Thanks, Daniel.
And the final question from us here as we close the podcast. What's one of the messages or the message you want to leave with the electorate as Guyana heads into this election cycle?
Thank you for that question. Right. So a lot of young people have been reaching out to me. Right. One of the demographics that I particularly relate to are young professionals, and they want to be a part of everything that is going on here. They want to be a part of where Guyana is going, and they want to, be meaningfully a part of it, just not window dressing a part of it. And I say to them, come on board. There's myself, there are many other members of the government who are willing to receive you and welcome you. What I realize that we in Guyana are on a cusp of no political persuasion can stop the development that is happening in Guyana. It's like a boulder rolling down a hill, it will happen, right? So my thoughts to those people are, come on board, right? Let's find where you fit in, and let's get all of the jobs that we have to get done. This is where we need every able-bodied Guyanese, every competent Guyanese, right, from all walks of life and society to come on board for us to continue the trajectory set by President Ally and his administration, and leading Guyana further to where we belong on the world stage. We are the fastest growing economy. We have the best people in the entire world. We have the best food here in the entire world. And we look forward to taking our rightful place where the development is concerned, and especially where the people of Guyana is concerned. And that's my those will be my parting comments.
Thank you. And with that, we've come to the end of the first episode of Starting Point. Thanks to our first guest, Daniel Seeram, and the host, Guyana Wilberg. I'm Fariza Hanif. See you soon.
Take care, everyone. And thanks again, Daniel.
Thank you guys for having me on board.
Thanks for watching Starting Point. Follow us on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for critical updates and exclusive content.